All right, y'all. Welcome in to Tiger Talk with some Clemson gentlemen. Um, Craig, as we always start off with, I'm gonna ask you to start with, how's your how's your week been, buddy?
Been a good week. Good week. Flew by, anticipating the big game. I had to work on Saturday, but luckily we have a TV, so I was able to watch the game. And how about your week, man? I knew you were at the game Saturday.
Yep. Um, same with me. I mean, it seemed like it took forever. Longest bye week I think I've ever experienced, and you know, was looking forward to seeing what we'd come out with. A lot of anticipation, and I think we all knew that you know we weren't the great team that everybody projected us to be, and but I wanted to see if there was going to be any fight in this team. Um, and like I told you before we started the show, you asked me if how everything felt up there, and I would say the anticipation at the game was great. The enthusiasm was great. Game started, you know, a little bit of booing and upset with the way the first couple series went, especially whenever they went up like they did, and everybody's thinking, oh, we're going to get blown out of our own stadium. You know, we come back, and from that point throughout the rest of the game, you know, everybody was into it. Everybody was, good to go. I mean, they'd get upset whenever they saw a blown coverage, which seemed to be almost every other play almost. But you know, overall, it was a really good atmosphere. You know, um, you asked me about the end of the game. I would have to say demoralizing. It really felt like we let one slip away. So, but
Yep.
you know, and
Man,
it seems to be the story of our season. So,
it does. I mean, it's like everything that can go wrong has gone wrong.
mhm. Yep.
Um, you know, and just starting with the game Saturday, I was very pleased with the offense. Um, I thought that we were aggressive for once,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say something on that. Why do we wait this late in the season to be aggressive? Why can't we
I
just be
wondered
aggressive
the
to
same
start
thing.
with?
Yep. I
You know,
mean, you know, and I can't remember whether it was Will Vandervoort, and I don't. I hope I said his name right, or Jason. One of the two wrote an article with Clemson Insider, and they made the comment that you know he actually they were impressed to see um, that Riley kind of stuck with the running game. Um, and that's been lacking all season. Impressively, look at how well it opened up the passing game when you stick to the running game or stick with the running game. Um,
that's right.
you know,
Even the even the announcers on TV, they actually said the same thing.
yep, that's what I heard. I mean, now play calling overall, I felt was pretty good. I still have some major questions about why you're throwing to a former offensive lineman on fourth and one, I mean, on first and goal,
Yeah,
whenever you're at the 1 yard line. And like they even pointed out in that article, a running game that had predominant, pretty much gotten you to that point. Why not let them try to, pound it on in? I mean,
another head scratcher.
yeah,
And,
I,
and
I,
and and man, look here. There's plenty of blame to be placed around with this program the way it sits right now. But I've been a I've said coaching, coaching, coaching a lot.
mhm.
That was a coaching error right there.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't. That dude came out. I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, yeah. We were in the stands going, who? Wait a minute. I mean, is he on a depth chart?
And why did they choose this one particular guy for this? I mean, have they practiced this play all season? Is that why they did that? I mean, that's why it's
I,
just mind-boggling.
I'm gonna have to say that they've practiced this play. In his credit,
Well, I
his
mean,
credit, to
No,
his
I knew
credit,
they have, but I was being
yeah,
sarcastic to say if this is something they
yeah,
just practiced all season to get ready for this one guy to trot out there and catch this. I mean, he's so big he can't hardly move.
well, to his
You
credit,
know,
here's
he's
the
like, I
here's
mean,
the
it wasn't a
bad
great
thing.
thrown ball either, but
No, well, that's what I was about to get to. To his credit, for a guy that big, he actually moved as a wide receiver as he was trying. I mean, reaching to try to get to the thing. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of impressed with that part, but and
when you got
if you if if Cade throws a little bit better ball, then yeah. But at the same time,
those
you
aren't your
said
most athletic guys.
there you go. Well, you said it a minute ago. And they practice this all year long to try this one play. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if that is a tight end, if that is a wide receiver, and Kate is throwing to them, I think you're looking at a different outcome.
Oh, look here,
I mean,
bring. I know. I mean, we've got Benicure, whatever his name is. He's like
yeah,
what 6'5", 6'6".
yeah.
There's
Hey,
your dude.
we wouldn't have been questioning this if it had been Chef in there for that play. I
I know.
mean, I mean, but I
A lot of positives on offense,
yeah.
though. Hey, we put
Well,
up points, had over 500 yards offense. I mean, man, the defense is what it all came down to. And look here, Freddie. When is the last time that we've had a defense? And I'm not going to say that we have a horrible defense. I'm going to say that we've had a defense that has played this horribly.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, look here. And I'm going to tell you what I was thinking when we were up by 7 right there at the end of the game, end of the fourth quarter. They got the ball. I can't remember how much time was left. What, like a minute, minute and a half? I can't remember. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what Coach Sweeney thrives on
Mm-hmm.
right here. Put it in the hands of the defense. Let the
Yeah.
defense win it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Exactly.
like, this is we're going to do it. I just knew it. I just knew it.
All right. And I'm in agreement with you on what you said there. But at the same time, Craig, how many times this season and last season have we seen it handed over to our defense needing one stop? That was
One.
it. One stop. And for some reason, these guys, they just don't know how to. I mean, it's kind of like, the offense says, okay, we gave y'all the game. Go win it for us, boys. And they went dyslexic. And I hate that. And I read it as though, oh, we're supposed to give the game away. I mean,
Yep.
But like the title for tonight's episode, and by the way, y'all, we've made it to 10 episodes. Who would have thought we'd made it this far, this quick, and been having this much fun? But we thank all y'all for tuning in. But the episode number 10, one side takes a step forward, and the other side falls on its face, and that's pretty much what we saw Saturday.
That's
But,
right.
Jeff,
Disappointing.
has asked us a question. Says, what do you guys see as changes, for the staff coming up in season? I'll let you take the first crack at it, and I'll tell you what I think or what I feel.
If I was Coach Sweeney, clean house. Nah, not that extreme. I'll tell you what I see, and I'm gonna probably steal a little bit away from Freddie because we talk a lot. I see taking a new direction with offensive coordinator, number one. I also see other positional coaching changes. I know there's been a big complaint over the past this season, especially. Look, when you're winning, nobody says a word about who's on staff.
Yep.
When you're losing, just like I said, that was sarcasm, clean house.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But there's always been this year a lot of talk about nepotism, with having so many former players on staff giving them their first coaching job. and it's such a big program. I have a feeling that we might see some pretty good bit of changes there also. But big changes, I see Riley gone. I just don't feel like he has brought our offense up to par. I see some of these, positional coaches gone also. I really do. Look here, Matt Luke, my opinion.
Well,
I know that's not going to happen, but
yeah,
here, that's another place where and this is the key, and I'm going to say this and let you talk.
mm-hmm.
We have underachieved this season. It's not that the talent's not there, because it is there. We have underachieved, and a lot of people may disagree, and you may disagree with me, but it is up to the coaches.
We never disagree.
It's up to the coaches to
Sarcasm.
ensure that these players are performing to standard. And bottom line, and like we talked about before, you put our defense, we talked about Jaheim Lawson, we talked about Stefan Green, these guys that aren't the big name starters, but who you see, Lawson had another big game.
Yep.
But
I'm loving me some Lawson, though.
Yep, but I'm getting off topic, but that's what I see. But
yeah,
what you got there, Freddie? Freddie's got more of an inside scoop than I do.
All right. To start with, that was sarcasm from me, because what y'all don't know is an hour before the show, Craig and I were disagreeing big time. Okay. And that's the good thing about all this stuff. We can agree to disagree, and everybody can give their opinions here. They can tell us what they think, and they can ask us questions. We're going to give you what we feel. Okay. As far as me, I feel too that Riley is gone the year. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not been impressed with what he's done with not just the offense, but with the quarterbacks as well. He's our quarterbacks. All right. And I know that we've heard about the rat poison and all this crap, but that's his job, to have the quarterback prepared. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, there have been times this year when I felt like not just the offense, but Cade wasn't prepared, and there have been times that CV was put in there and it feels like he wasn't either. Okay. Even in pop-up duty. And I've said before, I don't care who you put back there. I get it. If the offensive line does not play well, then, you could put Tom Brady back there and he's not going to be able to do what anybody else is. Okay. We saw that last week with CV. All right. And I'll be honest with you, I'm calling him CV because that's what other people are calling him. And I sometimes can't get his last name right. So, and I'm not, I'm just not going to go Christopher, or Christopher V. I mean, but that's right. It's easier. All right. For me. Matt Luke, that was really, really got me puzzled there, because, he's done way better with less talent, seemed like. And we were brought into this season feeling like this might be the best talent. I know it's the most experienced, and we thought that this could be some of the best talent he's had so far. Maybe we didn't have as much talent as we thought we did there. And I'm only saying that because to this point, his offensive lines have done better than they have this year. I know we've had some injuries there, and I get that. Now you said it a minute ago. You said a minute ago, when you're winning, people don't question who's on the staff. And I have pointed this out so many times. Nobody was questioning nepotism and all of this stuff whenever we had a former offensive player in Tony Elliott, and also a no name, I say it this way, but in Jeff Scott as co-offensive coordinators. Just like a lot of people didn't realize that Jeff Scott never came up with this is the funny part. These same people want him back and didn't realize that Jeff Scott never was the mind. He wasn't the brain behind this offensive scheme. It was Tony Elliott. Jeff Scott was made co-offensive coordinator. kind of like Brad Scott, and I'm trying to think of who the other coach was, before them when they were made
Right.
co-offensive coordinators for recruiting. You know, um, titles don't mean all that much in the grand scheme of things when we look at this stuff. Kind of like, people are jumping up and down about Sweeney's son being on the support staff. Guess what? Those guys, most people probably don't realize that, Sweeney's not making money off of Clemson. Dabo is probably footing that bill just to get him a start in coaching. All right. And I'm going to tell you, that support is not fun. It's not affecting what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The support staff, I mean,
Yeah.
those are basically they're gathering data, numbers,
That's right.
and
That's
I'd go. I mean, I can go be a part of the support staff.
Now, with the defensive side, and I'll go a step further on offense. I know there have been some questions about the rotations, how some of the rotations go, and I don't know everything behind that. I just, I can tell you that I feel better now about Grisham than I did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, people still, and Jason even pointed this out a couple of weeks ago. No matter what he puts on the field, people are going to want him fired. Okay, because they had already come up with their idea of him and their decision about him before any of this. But if you look at the way it's gone, after he got past Jeff Scott's last recruiting crew, okay, that crew with Nagata, Ladson, and all of them that were bust, he's got a pretty good crew right now.
Yep, he does. He does.
He may.
I mean, I see him sticking around. I see Spiller still being there. I see them. I mean, running backs hadn't really been a problem, but the rotation, like what you're talking about, we just been. I mean, just been leaning on Randall basically every game, and then Davison comes up. Gideon Davison had a pretty good little game, 50-something yards rushing. I mean, he had about like 100-something yards.
They finally, and I think Rand. If I saw it right, Randall had 16 carries.
Let's see, I had it pulled up. Let's see.
Davison had 12. I know Davison had 12 carries or 12 attempts. So that tells you right there that things changed in that part of it. Yep. I was shocked. I was expecting to see more of EZ Saturday, and I didn't. That one kind of shocked me too. Now, as far as defensively, I don't know if I had to guess. From the stuff, the rumblings I'm hearing, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings about Mike Reed, and possibly Mickey Kahn. When I tell you this isn't coming from the staff or anybody else or any of my friends that are covering the beat. Okay, I want to make sure that's clear. These rumblings are coming from people that I know that have connections otherwise, and they seem pretty confident about at least one of those two.
And probably Kahn. I think Reed's an associate head coach also.
Well, Reed is an associate head coach, but he's also the defensive backs coach.
Yep.
All right.
And Kahn's over the safeties, I believe, something like
Kahn's
that.
Over safeties, but here's I'm gonna throw an interesting one out at you. All right. Guess what? If I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But if I understand it right, they are special teams coaches.
Yep. Well, if I had, I'm gonna be honest. If I had to put, I would probably think Kahn would be the one.
Look,
between the two,
I'm gonna tell you,
I wouldn't doubt of both now. But
Jason posted on Facebook earlier that that they asked Dabo, said, what happened on the kickoff return? And he said, we had 11 guys out there and 11 guys didn't touch him. Y'all.
That joke was shot off like a rocket.
Well, and there again,
You had
remember,
intent
all right,
to
remember
score.
now. All right, remember I told you earlier that before we got on here that the defensive pass interference that happened at the end of the game that was questionable happened in front of me. Okay, all
Yep.
right. The kickoff return began inside the end zone,
Right there.
in
Same
front of me.
there. Yep.
And somebody else pointed out that it was almost like our. You remember earlier this year we lost a onside kick because players ran off before they were supposed to. Remember that?
Yeah.
They
Yep.
weren't paying attention. Well, again, Saturday, it felt like we had players that were like, "Ooh, it's going into the end zone, so he's going to down it." Now, here's my thing too, and I don't understand it. I don't. Sometimes they do things for a reason. I get that, but I question majorly why we're kicking balls out of the end zone, and then all of a sudden this one goes in about a yard into the end zone. I don't quite understand that part. Now, I will this to end up Jeffrey's or Jeff's question. I do not see us pulling a South Carolina where we start firing coaches every other week or every week during the season. Dabo has never been one to fire coaches during in the middle of the season, unless something drastically changes. I don't see any in season change. Now, with that said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I believe that changes won't be made. I mean, I could see, I could see two other guys coaching special teams going forward. That's not going to be made public, or one other guy coaching special teams. It's not going to be made public. Just like, if, you decide that, your defensive backs coach isn't doing a good enough job and you give him assistance, I don't think that's going to be made public.
Yeah.
But I think everything after the season is when you'll see any major changes. And I do agree. He also commented that he said, let me see if I can do this thing the right way. There we go. All right. I do agree that I believe Luke is pretty safe. He's only 3 years into this thing, and I believe that they're going to give that a little bit more time. I mean, heck, they gave Thomas Austin as long as they gave him, and so
Yeah.
Look, this stuff is.
I agree, Jeff. You put it like that, I agree.
Yeah. And I think you just saw. He said his track record speaks for itself, and it does.
But he's brought in. I mean, he has got some pretty good offensive line recruits.
Yeah.
And that is right. I'm just
Well, look,
I'm frustrated as all get out because this ain't the Clemson football that we're used to in the past. 15 years or so.
Exactly.
This is not what we're accustomed to, and it sucks.
It does, man.
I mean, you can point fingers all the way around.
Yep.
But it starts at Coach Sweeney, and I feel like he's safe. I feel like he's, man, I think that he's going to be fine, but I think that he will be. I think there's an article that came out before we did our podcast about he's been told to make changes, and I have a feeling he already had that on his mind already.
Yeah.
Defensively, that's a huge problem right now, and we haven't had a problem with our defense in years. The offense is what we had problems catching up to the defense, and that changed with Taj Boyd.
Yeah.
And carried on with, Deshaun Watson, but then you look at who the coordinators were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We brought Chad Morris in. Chad Morris kind of turned things around, Then after him was Tony Elliott.
Yep.
And after that, things just.
Yeah. And sadly enough, near the end with Tony Elliott, it had kind of started taking a dip anyway, and I think that's because On defense, you can continue as a defensive coordinator for years. Foster was a prime example of that at Virginia Tech. Brent Venables has proven it. Okay, but offensively, you have to be able to adapt. And most offensive coordinators, and I'll tell you, all right. For instance, Chad Morris. Chad Morris was a great Plan A coordinator. It was if Plan A blew up, Plan B wasn't there. He didn't know how to go to Plan B. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, if you want an example of that, look at Cole Stout the year that Deshaun Watson came in. Chad Morris, at the beginning of that season, had already decided Deshaun Watson is my quarterback of the future. We knew that. Everybody knew that.
Oh, everybody did. I think he came in that Georgia Tech game. And
that's right. All right. He gets hurt. And when that happens, you go, okay, so what does he do? He tries to fit that square box, Cole Stout, into the circle, into the round thing, okay? Because everything was planned around Deshaun Watson, and I was at the Wake Forest game when Cole Stout, I mean, the guy couldn't do anything right, and they ended up finally doing that shovel pass to I remember just as good as day. Helped us win a national title with Deshaun, and I think he was a wide receiver that would come, and I know you know who I'm talking about too. And I cannot
like
say
somebody like Cornell Powell, who was
what they would do is they would shovel the pass to him. He'd go around the corner, and he was gone. I mean, people couldn't stop him. Well, then we get to the end of that season, we look horrible. So, throughout the majority of it, because Chad Morris has been trying to make Cole Stout into, into Deshaun Watson that year. And, well, Chad Morris decides to leave. All right. Tony Elliott, Brandon Streeter, and Jeff Scott have a month. And what do? We beat Oklahoma, and Cole Stout ends up being the MVP of the game.
Yep.
I mean, there proves to you, they took what they had and they worked with it. Okay. They didn't sit here and try to make him something he wasn't. And they planned it around who they had. And that's something that I've looked at, and I feel like that's something that happened with Tony Elliott. Tony Elliott continued to try to come up with the same plan and the same plays near the end of his tenure here at Clemson. And don't get me wrong, he has done great things. He did. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world. He helped us win 2 national titles. He's doing great at Virginia. I'm pulling for him. And honestly, I hope UVA, and I'm not a big fan of UVA, but I'm hoping UVA wins the ACC and gets into the playoffs. And, just because Tony's there. Okay.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to the same thing we talked about. What have you done for me lately? I feel like that Dabo is safe. I also feel like what Will Vandervoort said in that same article that you were talking about is that the administration and he are probably butting heads a little bit right now, because, and I had never thought about it this way, but in his article, he points out that there are a lot of parallels between Dabo Swinney and Jack Leggett, because the administration wanted Jack Leggett to make some changes that Jack Leggett did not want to make. And as a head coach, you can kind of understand, you want me to win, but you want me to win with whoever you tell me to do. And it kind of feels like sometimes that, and my cousin pointed this out earlier, he said, and I know Michael is, I think you're a Cowboys fan. Am I wrong there?
Eagles.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel a little bit better now. All right. So, Michael has always been a Cowboys fan. I knew that, but it kind of feels sometimes like our BOT, our board of trustees, is Jerry Jones. you know, and I get that. I can understand that. But at the same time, I think they want to win just as much as anybody does. So, you know, I can see both sides, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Um, Now, the thing that really bothers me, and it's bothered me for a while, and it's been pointed out, you know, a bunch, that is, you know, Clemson is at a we're we're battling against teams that are bringing in way more money than we are as far as NIL goes, and sadly enough, our administration, well, and I keep saying our, and I know I'm not supposed to say that. Clemson's administration has not Uh, they've not pushed the 110 Society, which is a huge NIL part of Clemson University. Okay. They didn't push that until the game against South Carolina last year. They dropped the ball on this thing, and, you know, I think they figured it out, but at the same time, you're already behind the eight ball with a lot of this stuff. And, you know, what I hope is that they I think they've gotten it figured out. And I've seen where they're still, well, at the game Saturday. I never saw an advertisement for the 110 Society, but I did see one for making sure you join IPTAY. And um, there again, that is not the same, and it's kind of concerning a little bit. But at the same time, I'm hoping that they've got a plan going forward that, you know, kind of gets us back into the mix a little bit as far as NIL money goes. Um, I mean, what do you think about that?
What's that?
About the NIL and the way that the administration is kind of, you know.
I was just looking. I looked it up
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking earlier, and one of the things I found was, and this is last year's. Clemson was like in the top 20 in NIL money.
Jason, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they had. This is on 247 Sports.
Yeah.
At South Carolina at 466 million and Clemson at 476 million.
And see, here's what they've done. They've done, if I understood him correctly, when Jason was pointing this stuff out to people, they were using the stats that are, in other words, the universities are not giving these stats out. They're not giving. In other words, if you call up to Clemson and go, "Hey, how about tell us what your NIL is?" They're not going to give you those things. All right, what 247 did was they went around about it. Okay, in other words, they can't get caught, if I understood it correctly, with false information, but at the same time, that is not coming from the university. And I've had conversations with him several times, and he's told me several times that is not the case. It's not even close to that. And if there's anything, it even goes back to, there have been several times that Brad Brownell and I can't remember the female basketball coach that was there. Him, and Bakich were upset about the way things were being handled, not just because of that, but also because of the way that the university wasn't putting very much money into their programs as far as NIL. Now, Brad Brownell, to his credit, has found a way around that and has been able to bring in some talent that nobody expected. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you'd have told me a year ago that our new basketball coach was going to be bringing in the likes that he's brought in, I'd have laughed at you. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, sounds like to me he's found somewhere to tap into too, outside of the, outside of the box. You know, we'll see. But I can tell you now, Bakich has been that was one of the reasons that he was pushing for, alcohol sales. I know that they claimed it was for bringing, fans into the game and stuff like that. But that place has been being sold out for years without it. That was another revenue stream. And I will tell you this: Saturday, one of the shortest lines in the state or in the stadium were the alcohol sales lines. And I was actually kind of shocked because I'll be honest, I don't drink, never have, never even tried it. But, I can kind of understand why the ones that do, you would be drinking at our game. Sadly, that was as bad as it was.
Yep.
But I don't know. We could go around and around and around for the rest of the night. And I don't think either one of us are going to come up with the answers.
Yep.
I'm at a total loss. On the things that have gone on this season. That if you'd have told me in September that this is what we were going to be seeing, I would have laughed. Simply because, and I think you said it earlier, we've got all this talent that we felt like we had, and it's not just us. That's what somebody else pointed out on the way home yesterday. Not just us. I mean, the national prognosticators thought the same thing. I mean, they had us in the top 4 at the beginning of the season, and it when it went off the rails this year, it completely went off the rails. So, but well, I don't know, Craig. What you think? I mean, what we looking at going forward?
All we can do is pray. That's it.
I've been doing that for a while, and I agree. That's the one good thing. Or that's the one thing that is definitely a must, and that's whether we're talking about Clemson football or Clemson athletics or life, man. The one thing that you can be guaranteed of is, the Lord hears everything we're saying, and He's got a plan, and that's the good thing about it. Whether we win or lose or, whatever. So,
Yep.
It's all in His plan, and it's never guaranteed to be roses every time we turn around. It's we are guaranteed tribulation, and that's the one thing I feel sorry or feel bad about for Dabo is right now he's going through seems like and at the same time, I know we're sitting here talking about athletics, but when I say tribulations for Dabo, it's not just tribulations about a football game loss. It's also about the fact that he has prided himself on mentoring young kids, and I want to make something really clear. All right, I understand that one of the big stories from yesterday, and the big articles was how he was cussing on the sidelines. All right, y'all. I'm not going to tell you I agree with a lot of cuss words or anything else, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think anybody's perfect, and I'm not going to sit here and question his Christianity or anybody's Christianity if they use a cuss word. All right, I do believe when the man says that, he is looking out for not just a football player, but for a man, leaving football and going into life. I believe him there. And you won't convince me otherwise until you can give me proof that, he's not doing that. And most of the players overall that have left his program have come back and said the same thing. New Hopkins got baptized at a football practice. So, the one thing that we can be thankful for is we have a coach that isn't just about, doing whatever he's got to do to win, but he's also mentoring young men to be good men going forward. So, and I'm gonna get off my soapbox there, Craig. What else you?
Hey, I don't know anymore.
All right, I'm gonna throw it to you first. You threw it to me last week, and I'm gonna throw it to you first because we are wrapping up on time. We've gone over a little bit. I want to thank Jeff for for tuning in. He did send us another message, said LOL with our comments. So I have known Jeff for a long time. We go back a long ways, and I appreciate him more than he knows sometimes. But you know, uh, Florida State, we come in as 2.5 point favorites coming weekend. Um, what say you, Craig? What we gonna see?
We'll lose. I'm calling.
Okay.
We'll. I
Okay.
just don't. I don't have faith. I want us to win. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
and after hangover from a tough game, tough. I mean, that was a tough loss yesterday. Home
Yep.
loss. We got Florida State at home, right?
Yes, we do.
We've won
Yep.
one game in Death Valley this year. Troy. That's it.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
That is right. Yep. That is correct.
I mean, I hate to say it. I just don't see us beating a Florida State team at this point. They're not the greatest in the world, but they're going to come in and know that we're beatable at home, and I hate it, but I mean,
Yep.
I just don't see a win.
Well,
I can't wait until the Furman game.
well, I am not. I'm going to go with Clemson. I'm going to, if I go down with the ship, I go down with the ship. But I've never picked against them, and I I don't look at any game as not winnable. I've been shocked by some. I've been upset by some. Um, but I do feel like that our offense, if they play like they played yesterday, will put up enough points to beat Florida State. Now the question mark is going to be what the defense does to complement them, if any. Um, but at the same time, if we get into it and it's that, then we already know we've got to go into a shootout. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tell you my final score is gonna be um 35-31 Clemson. That's my thoughts on it. You know, so um I I don't know that I mean I've been down about seasons and stuff like that, but since before Dabo arrived, I don't know that I've been this down and this disheartened. Um, like I told you, it was demoralizing, after that game Saturday. And I'm one that doesn't let things like that linger. I'm thankful for that. I used to would, um, sit there and worry about, what was going to happen through Sunday into Monday. Well, I'm to a point now where, when I wake up Sunday morning, it was a bad loss. I hated the loss, but at the same time, I wouldn't have rather been anywhere else on a Saturday afternoon than sitting there with my better half and my cousin watching the Tigers play. So I know that the Lord blessed me with that chance, and don't know how many more chances I'll get to do that. So that's the way I look at things now, and it's the only way to look at life, really. So,
Yep.
Well, y'all, another wrap on our 10th episode, and we want to thank Jeff again for tuning in and giving us some feedback. And like we told y'all before, if you like the show, let us know. Also, go like our page. Send us a friend request on Facebook. And share it by all means. I'm sharing it to a bunch of different groups every day. I know Craig's sharing it as well. But the more exposure we get, the more likely, everybody will get more out of it. But until next weekend, Sunday, y'all remember, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.